Following broadcast is rated S for stupid. May contain mayhem, items that some may find disturbing, graphic stupidity, with talk that may harm the sensitive, to the point that is potentially unsuitable for children, most adults, family pets, and farm animals. Appropriate references: be careful, that chair is broken. Emotional or psychological reactions in individuals who have experienced trauma or have specific sensitivities. So this product is not intended for use for the following applications: a dental drill, twisted love repellent, abusive parents, aquaphobia/panic attacks, attempted murder, sexual compatibility, touching yourself, sexual compatibility with yourself, nudity. Really, I never once seen any nudity on this show. Some strong language and adult themes. Who let the cat outside? It is raining out. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer and listener discretion advised.
Faces and Heels Podcast. One handsome devil. Your host, Jack Purcell. Scissor me, daddy ass. Louis Perry, your co-host. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell. Faces and Heels Podcast.
Welcome to the Faces and Heels Podcast, where we're celebrating all things Halloween. I mean, wait a minute. All things professional wrestling, including the Monster Factory. And tonight, we've got one of the stars from Apple TV Plus Monster Factory. We have Lucas Twitch Disangro.
Wow, look at that. I'm proud of you, Jack. You did that really, really good.
Wow.
I'm not even going to bust your ass. I'm not.
Oh my
I'm
God.
going to give you a treat. I'm going to give you a treat tonight and let it go because I'm that type of guy. I'm coming off a stellar night last night. I'm going to let it go because I think you did, Lucas, a grade A job. I'm going to let it go.
Okay, well, that's saying something. All right, awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
What happens?
Absolutely.
This guy talks to
Can you just
Sabretooth,
email
suddenly
me the rest of this
guy.
story?
Oh,
Sorry,
Nice
I'm just
job.
I'm still a little thrown off by that disclaimer because it sounds something similar to like what would set off a sleeper agent.
What are you talking about? What? That is the Angry
Let the cat
Geeks
out. It's
Network.
raining. That sounds like the same thing. That sounds like the same transmission the Russians were giving out in season 3 of Stranger Things. Like that's just
that is the Angry Geeks Network disclaimer. I mean, all our shows have to have that disclaimer on it because we don't know what's going to get set off. I mean, we have a very large range of fans and audience members, so we got to have them all covered.
it's like a trigger warning.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
All right.
fair enough.
Well, we're really pumped to see you here, Lucas. Thanks for taking the time and being here. You're one of the wrestlers who's on my list of guys that I want to see live and haven't. I've only had the chance to see you through YouTube, and I've seen a lot of your compadres from the Monster Factory live. So you and Goldie are the two guys who I'm really itching to see live. So
Yeah, okay.
selfishly, we need you to get booked in Massachusetts and Connecticut fast.
I very much agree with you. And hi, Lucas Twitch Disangro of Apple TV's Monster Factory. Please book me. I would love to come to the New England, Boston, Connecticut, Maine, anywhere. Yeah, what he said with the drops. That would be great. Fantastic.
Nice. Well, the good news is that I know a lot of the promoters in the Northeast do watch and may even make some comments tonight. So good news. So we're hopefully going to see that happen because selfishly, I don't make it out to PA that often, but oddly enough, we've been doing this podcast for 4 years and we're based in Massachusetts. But I think if you were to go through the list of guests we've had over 4 years, more of them are from Pennsylvania than anywhere else.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's such an amazing amount of talent, and obviously the Monster Factory plays some part in that because they're turning out some amazing talent. I mean, I've gotten to see wrestlers from the Monster Factory all over at Blitzkrieg Pro, Wrestling Open, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. So I think it's only a matter of time until people smarten up and make sure that they make you part of that. So before
but also, sorry to touch on that, the amount of talent I've seen from the Massachusetts, the New England area step foot in the Monster Factory. I mean, even when I was just going there as a fan back in like 2014, 2015, you had guys like Dijak, Mikey Webb, like those, Anthony Green, another one.
Oh.
I mean, obviously, Brutal Bob Evans is. Good old Uncle Bob. I love him. I know he's great. Like, the synergy or the just like how adjacent the two scenes are to each other is just it's fascinating.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, we've had like Vita Von Starr, Travis Huckabee, Facade, Danny Moe. I mean, the list just goes on and on of people we've been fortunate enough to have, like yourself, who all come out of PA and all from different places. I mean, obviously, the Monster Factory has turned out people like yourself and Bobby Buffet, who we've seen turning up more and more in Mass and Connecticut. But like, how did it get started for you? Were you like as a kid going to see live wrestling shows, or what led up to the passion that you developed for pro wrestling?
Well, it's not the happy story that you. I mean, pro wrestling for me. So I was kind of a late bloomer in the sense of, and a lot of people start watching wrestling when they're like 3 or 4. I think I started watching like. I started watching in 2008, so I was in 4th going into 5th grade. Like the big rivalry that was going on at the time was Edge and Undertaker. I was only allowed to watch Friday Night SmackDown because we're always on a school night.
Right.
You know the deal.
Yeah.
Wow, you a wee lad.
Yeah. Yes, I was. And
Good thing I'm wearing a hat covering my grace.
Jack, your co-host is bugging me.
He does it with everyone. Sorry.
Oh, we got ourselves a heel co-host. Yeah.
Yeah, you know who the face is. You know who the heel is.
Jeez. So my first. Oh, poor guy missed the whole attitude. No, I did. I mean, look, YouTube is a thing.
Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. Wait 1 second. I just have to say that. Hi, Heather.
Is he going to do this the whole time, Jack?
Lucas, apologies ahead of time. And if you put him through a table when you do see him in Massachusetts or Connecticut, it's okay.
No, I don't want to touch him. Anyway.
You wouldn't be the first guy who's like barely touched him but shoved him in through a few rows of chairs.
Chopper and me got beef, man. That's all I got to say. He got lucky, all right? I've been out of the business for a while, and Chopper caught me while I wasn't looking. I had the microphone in my hand, okay? That's all. He got lucky. He got lucky. Everybody knows it. Chopper got lucky.
All right.
Plain and simple.
Okay, sorry to get you fired up.
Chopper got lucky.
All right. But
Riveting.
we're trying to hear Lucas here.
Oh.
So my first favorite wrestler was actually Jeff Hardy. When he got drafted to SmackDown, that was a big deal for me. I'm a very I love to he artistically, I think I was very inspired by him. Like he would come out with the crazy hair and the armbands. He just did not look like your typical wrestler. So I watched that for a while. Then I got into middle school, and that was when I kind of stopped watching for a little bit. But and that was because the reason I'm called Twitch is because that was a nickname kids would give me in school because I had Tourette's, and it wasn't like an endearing nickname at first. On top of the Tourette's, autism, ADHD, anxiety, depression. It's just a whole bag of fun in between these years, folks. And I stopped watching wrestling for a little bit because I didn't want to give people another reason, which is really sad because once you start, it's that was a thing I really enjoyed. I would live vicariously through watching Jeff Hardy throw himself at people every single Friday night. When he won the WWE Championship, I was so happy. And I stopped watching for a little bit. And then June 27th, 2011, it was the summer. I just gotten done 7th grade, and I was fed up with how kids were treating me. I felt like I was never going to be more than just a weird kid with Tourette's. And I was gonna, yeah. And the plan was I wanted to have one good day, and then I was gonna swallow everything in my pill cabinet that night. And there was some pretty heavy stuff in there. So I was flipping through, but actually I ended up having a pretty decent day. I got to see a few of my really good friends. There's a comic book shop I live up the street from. I went there and I hung out there a good portion of the day. I got to play a few games. I got my ass kicked in a few games of Madden with my brother, but it was fun. And I'm just flipping through the TV because I just want to watch one thing that's going to make me happy before I get out of here. And I'm flipping through the channels and I see Monday Night Raw's on. And in a really twisted way of thinking, I'm like, well, they're not going to judge me for it now. So I flipped it on. And, main event of that night was R-Truth and John Cena in a tables match. And it's very rudely interrupted by CM Punk, who comes out in a Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt, and he cuts the pipe bomb. And, it might sound foolish to some people. Oh, what, a wrestling promo saved your life? Yeah. The pipe bomb was what made me become a wrestler, want to become a wrestler. Because that wasn't just a promo to me. That was a dude that was fed up with how he was being treated, how he was perceived by his peers and his coworkers and his friends. And instead of, quitting like I was kind of going to do, in a way, he sat down on a stage in Las Vegas and he said what was bothering him. And I knew that this life wasn't going to be easy for me. I knew that people weren't going to understand me a lot of the time, or people were just going to probably avoid me. I was the weird kid that would make weird faces and weird noises, and didn't have a filter. But wrestling was always this thing that made me, it gave me something I always wanted and never felt like I got, which was acceptance. I didn't have to change, I'd have to listen to music I didn't want to listen to. I'd have to buy clothes I didn't want to wear. I just could be me, and that was enough. So that was what made me realize, if I get the chance, I'm going to be a professional wrestler. And, it didn't get better immediately after that, but it was enough to keep me going. So flash forward a few years later, I'm interning on a radio station that's right by my house. An AM radio station called WBCB, on a show called Pro Wrestling Weekly with my good friend Ron Derry, who is now the play-by-play commentator for the Monster Factory. So he's been one of my best friends for a better part of a decade. But I had never really been I knew the independent circuit existed, but I never went to any of the indie shows. But
Oh,
Those
okay.
are two names
Lucas
that I
is.
recognize. Yeah, so I decided that, I asked Ron if I could tag along, and then I saw, the Monster Factory for the first time, and I saw how it was run. It didn't feel like it felt like a production, like an actual show. Ron explained explained to me how indie wrestling kind of works. The intermission runs, 10 minutes later than it's supposed to. The first match doesn't go on until 30 minutes after it's supposed to. There's a 5-minute break in between every match. It's just like half the guys are wearing sweatpants. It wasn't that. And I don't think the indies are that anymore. Anyway, it's not bad mouthing the indies. It's just like when you think, not even the indies, when you think of like a shindy wrestling show, you know what I mean? Like, this guy running it out of his house? Like, what's going on here? Like, that's what it feels like half the time. But I saw that. I went to one of my first indie shows was the Monster Factory, and I saw how it was run and looked at the amount of people that trained out of that school. Even before the current crop of graduates that you see, like the Sheamus, the Big Show, Bam Bam Bigelow, Balls Mahoney, Raven, Chris Candido, Tony Atlas, Kevin Von Erich, like the amount of history that has been, like Nature Boy Buddy Rogers is one of the people that started that school with Larry Sharp. I don't know how many people know that. Like, he approached Larry because Larry trained guys like Tony Atlas and King Kong Bundy and I think Kevin Von Erich. I think they were before the actual start of the school. The school was opened in 1983. And, Buddy Rogers essentially goes up to Larry and he goes, I want you to teach my kid how to wrestle, which is like, that's like Babe Ruth asking you to teach his kid how to hit. That's a big freaking deal. And the way it became the Monster Factory was through Bam Bam Bigelow. I mean, he was the first like big student. He's the beast from the East, And so July 6th, 2015 was my first ever day of training, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. I mean, did you find that people accepted you right away? I know, not all of our listeners and viewers have seen the Monster Factory show on Apple TV Plus, but when you started training there, did you find like instant camaraderie, or was it one of those things that, was another obstacle where you felt like you kind of had to earn your spot socially?
A little bit of both. Like, I knew I wasn't just gonna, I didn't just think like, it's gonna be I'm just going to be one of the guys, as soon as I walk in there. I knew that, because also I just, I befriended Danny on Facebook, and I would see him kind of talk about how, a lot of people like the idea of being a pro wrestler, but they don't want to actually put in the work.
Right.
It's not lost on me that a lot of the times you would see a lot of people show up and think, this is going to be great, I'm going to be a wrestler, and then they actually have to put in the work, and then they're just like, you know what? I'm just gonna get out of here. I knew that it was gonna take some time to warm up to some people. Actually, the first person who was really ever approachable was Riddle. He was like one of the first people that I connected with. But sooner or later, I became one of the family. I think it's just more of a proof to us that you're gonna stick around.
Right.
You don't want to emotionally. It's hard to emotionally invest in someone and take them seriously when you've seen 15 people before that be like, I'm going to be a wrestler, I'm serious about it, and then they do one training session and they're just like, yeah, it's not for me. So I understood that, but once I was accepted, a lot of places like to say that they're a family, and maybe they are in their own way, but this is the Monster Factory is one of the few places where I think firmly that, yeah, we are a family.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think that you saw a lot of that. I mean, I could only imagine the amount of anxiety and stress that you and everyone must have had on you at the end of that show when like you got to wrestle Crowbar in the ECW arena. The amount of pressure that you probably put on yourself more than anybody put on you must have been immense. But I've seen that match and it was pretty effing great.
Thank you. I was so excited when I heard that's when Danny told me that's who I was wrestling. Like that was, I mean, the guy is literally like, he's someone who I think a lot of people should, he's somebody I aspire to be like, because, you know, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say a bad thing about Crowbar. And like, honestly, the thing I appreciated the most was he could have just as easily been like one of those vets that was like, I'm tired, I'm hurt, kid. I don't want to do nothing. Let's just have a nice Southern old school Memphis match where you grab a headlock for 20 minutes or
Right.
joke. I like some of the old Memphis stuff. I just don't want, look, I'm friends with people from that era too, so I don't want to upset them. But you know, he knew that this was like my first time wrestling in the arena, and he knew that my you know, I was a Supersonic champion at the time, which is like our version of the Intercontinental champion. It's like our workhorse title.
Yep.
So I wanted to have like a competitive match. You know, I can't do a lot of high spot stuff, but like I wanted to have like an intense kind of match. And he was like, yeah, man, let's fucking tear the house down.
Nice.
And like, he was so generous with the ideas and like what he wanted to do. And I'm so appreciative of that, because again, a lot of people could have just been like, it's too much for me, I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
So,
right. And it was a really great match. I enjoyed the hell out of that. It was actually the match that kind of put you on my little personal list of people I wanted to see live. And it's going to happen at some point if I have to travel to PA, but I don't think that's going to have to happen. Heather had a question.
2 comments. She has
okay.
the first one.
She's asking, what basic skill did you struggle with the most when you started training?
And she also said that she's been to the Monster Factory in person, and that it's very impressive because Heather is friends with a wrestling promoter right here in Rhode Island, Jack. And I wanted to talk to you about that. And this is something for Lucas to know. Maybe some work up here in New England.
Yeah.
So yes. So once again, Heather's question.
What basic skill did you struggle with the most when you started training?
There were a few. So I think one that I still struggle with is springboarding. Not springboarding, but like we would do this. You know, part of our warm up would be the rolls. You know, and so when you would do the rolls in the ring, the way Danny would want us to get in was he would want us to kind of like vault over the ropes. I only just started to get the hang of that. The other time, rest of it would be I would just put my chest on the turnbuckle from the outside and kind of throw my legs over as best as possible, which I mastered very, very well. But I always make the joke, my 2 best traits in a match are chaining and dying. If I'm not doing an Owen Hart reversal, I'm selling like a madman. I can't really do a lot of flips. A lot of my high flying stuff is very crash and burn type deals. But I think that, and then it was also it was so like not being afraid to get hit was like a big thing for me, because like I said, I got bullied a lot. So for me, instinctively, whenever they would give me a forearm, I would shy away. And I still find myself doing that. I've gotten a lot better at it. Sometimes I have to damn near force myself and like put my chin out like this and be like, come on, just do it. But
yeah.
I think covering up during strikes was a big problem for me.
It's funny that the way your answer was interesting to me, because one of the things that I like about just kind of the way you move in the ring, it's something I said to Andy Brown also, because I've noticed like sometimes when you get in the ring, you aren't just stepping through the ropes. And granted, like you aren't necessarily vaulting over the ropes, but like it's something that I admire and think that I'd be tripping all over myself if I did. But like when you enter the ring, I notice a lot of times you'll step on the bottom rope on the way in and kind of bounce in.
That's because I'm a huge El Generico, Mark. That's totally
right.
That's the way Sami Zayn gets in the ring. So
That's
like,
awesome. No, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. That's just like a little, kind of finesse move where, it's like, hey, I know my shit. Like it's without. It's like that sort of. You don't have to say anything. You're kind of given like a little extra, just even getting in the ring. I really like that. I respond to that a lot, and to me, that shows like just a real. Like it feels like you have a. Or I guess I'm not phrasing this well. I guess what I'm saying is it just gives me the sense that.
No, I know what you're saying. It's. I know what I'm doing kind of deal. It's just, I'm not.
Yeah, it's natural. It's like, this is your home. Like you own this shit when you get in there. And I feel like you say that without saying it. And like,
it's one of those things. Like, I think the reason I do it, is because, so like my 5 favorite wrestlers, or my top 5 biggest influences, I would say, are Jeff Hardy, Punk, Danielson, Moxley, Sami Zayn, Generico. Honorable mention, Johnny Gargano. But like when Sami Zayn, like when I think of Sami Zayn, I think of like just absolute just passion, like fire, like that. They're just like NXT Sami Zayn, right? He would I just fucking threw his shoulder out, doing like that's how he blew out his shoulder.
Yeah.
He did the let's go.
Yeah, that was
and like
awesome.
that was the thing of like I wanted like that emotion, right? That kind of that fire that he would show was something I'm like I wanted to emulate that as much as possible. I love that kind of shit. I love the like the intensity, the excitement kind of feel. Like I want to show that like, hey, I'm like, let's do this.
Well, your haluva kick is a pretty sweet tribute to him.
Thank you. It's also because literally that's probably the only move of his I'd be able to. Well, that and maybe the Blue Thunder Bomb. I'm getting better at like putting my own spin on things. Funnily enough, I mentioned this off the air. I'm a huge Opie and Anthony fan. You want to know what my haluva kick is called? It's called a mouthful of shame.
I've heard that. I love that you have the anxiety attack.
Yep. Sensory overload, which is like the thing my cutter, my RKO is called the nervous breakdown, which is also
that's
that
awesome.
So that is because I'm also, I'm a musician, so music is a big like you won't find me. It's hard to find me without earbuds in my ear at some point. Even like I have a specific playlist that I'll listen to when I'm about to go out, and it's got to be in a specific order. It's got to get my head on straight. But my entrance theme, if I can help it, is usually "Nervous Breakdown" by Black Flag. So, so like, actually, I have a shirt that is an homage to that album cover, and it's just me giving somebody an RKO.
Yes, you got some cool T-shirts too. I like the Mr. Spastastic one, like the Fantastic Four
Fantastic.
tribute. Oh, sorry.
No, I should probably. No, you're not. You're literally. It's the most common thing is people. Part of me is like, I should probably like just not do that anymore. Say that. So because Mr. Fantastic is like, unfortunately, spastic it's kind of a bit of a derogatory term, towards us autistics and such. I tried to kind of like make it my own thing because it's one of these. First of all, it's like Mr. Fantastic, comic book influence, but also like, in spite of all the stuff that I got going on in my head, right? In spite of all the things that I deal with, I struggle with. I'm a professional wrestler. I'm a musician. I design my own my gear. Like the Ramones one. I had somebody else do it because shaky hands can't draw straight lines to save my life. But like the concept itself is I have the ideas for that. Like I'm very creative and like I'm able to do all this stuff in spite of the fact that I have Tourette's, anxiety, depression, autism. Like, I'm doing it, you know? So that's kind of what that nickname is supposed to be. Like, also, like, I can wrestle pretty damn well. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just feel like you took ownership of that. I guess that's kind of what I liked about it, you know, like, and despite the fact, like you said, I mean, it could be seen as a derogatory term, but I feel like, you know, you presenting that is like a sense of ownership of like, I'm not hiding. It's like putting it out there in the open. And
I mean, that's the thing with the Ramones one too is, so I remember we were at a music shop, and like I was telling my brother how like every faction or group does a Ramones t-shirt, and I just thought it would be really funny if I did that, but it was just all the shit that's wrong with me. It's like that would be really funny. So and then it stuck. Like, I think for me, it's, you know, there are a lot of wrestlers that I would say my favorite wrestlers are either that was me in school or that was somebody I would have been friends with in school. That being said, like, while there's a lot of wrestlers that I can identify with, there aren't any wrestlers I think that are like me, that wear it openly like that. And my thing is, like, you know, pay it forward. If somebody out there is struggling with the same stuff that I struggled with, and they can see, you know, that someone like me is still pursuing their dreams, I would like them to go, like, well, if he can do it, then so, well, you know, why can't I? It's the same reason. It's just essentially I want them to look at me the way I look at Punk. You know, like, I just want to give someone a reason. If I can give somebody a reason to keep going, then I did my job.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, absolutely. We've got another question for you. Heather's got some questions, and she wants to know, if you got to choose, would you prefer to be booked by WWE or AEW right now, and why?
This is going to come back to haunt me at some point. Anyway, this is a fucking question.
Sacred pause.
I'd say AEW, and that's only because, you know, all, like, save for Punk and Sammy, all of my favorite wrestlers are there right now. As I've said, you know, like, some people want to meet their heroes. I want to get beaten by them. It's probably a pipe dream, but in my head, like, if I could get to work with Danielson, that would be a dream come true to me. You know, I know brave stance there, Twitch. You know, everybody and their mother would want to work with Danielson. I understand that, but, like, he was another one that reinvigorated my love for the sport, to watch it. Like, Daniel, when I got back into watching it regularly, because honestly, the pipe bomb thing I watched a little bit. Like, I watched that summer, and then I kind of fell out of it again, and then I didn't fall back into it again until Daniel Bryan with, you know, the Team Hell No, and then going right into, so, like, my first live event that I got to go to was Money in the Bank 2013.
Oh, nice.
So I got to see that live, which was really cool, especially like with that moment with Punk and Daniel Bryan, and just that whole show was great. But yeah, like, I want to, and also because I really want to wrestle in Ring of Honor. So being under the AEW umbrella, there's just a lot of things that I want to do. I feel like would get checked off under that under that umbrella.
Yeah, so I'm going to get to Heather's question in a minute, but I want to piggyback first on what she asked. So, like, I wonder, and again, you could answer this any way you want or not at all, but, like, for me, like, I relate a lot to some of your struggles, and I know when I was trying to break into Marvel and DC and all those guys, I would be looking to see, you know, when they were appearing at a convention that I could get to so I could show them my work. So, like, do you ever pay attention to, say, like, AEW's coming to PA this month, I think, and maybe it's a couple weeks. Like, do you ever think, like, hey, I should, like, send them, like, a reel or something like that and try to get booked as an extra?
I email them every other week.
Nice.
I chalk it up to there's probably 15,000 other people, other workers that are flooding their inbox. So, just keep my nose to the grindstone. I'm just going to keep working. I think a lot of it's also like, I'm trying to, I want to get, hopefully maybe if I get more eyes on me and get booked more places, which is, I've been trying to branch out for a while. I've been 8 years as of 8.5 years. 8 years. I hit my 8-year anniversary of wrestling in July. And I've, save for a few places I've been booked at consistently, I've only really ever wrestled at the Monster Factory, which has been a great experience. But like, part of me is also like, I want to, I kind of want to follow in the footsteps of my eras too. Like I want to wrestle the Super 8. I want to wrestle in PWG. I want to go to England.
Yeah.
I would love to go to Japan. Like I want to wrestle all over the place, because the more eyes you get on you, the more people are paying attention, hopefully. And then, so that's just trying to keep my nose to the grindstone. I'm just trying to get booked more and more places and produce make good stuff, like make good stories, tell good stories, make good connections.
And that kind of brings you to what Heather was saying. AEW allows you to work across several different companies right now, more variety of competition, Ring of Honor, New Japan, etc. And Eric Hunting is in the house, Jack.
Hey, Eric.
Good evening. Sorry, I had to do the Clockwork Orange reference.
So here's another quick.
Brought that to a grinding halt.
No, I think you're good. We lost you for a second, but I think we're.
Oh, it is time for Old School Trivia. Old School Trivia is brought to you by Alternate Universe LLC, where tomorrow is new comic book day. Make sure you get a hold of Eric and the guys. Call them up if you can't make it to Milford or New Haven and get yourself some new comics. They got old comics too. They got back issues. I even hear that they got Malice and Mistletoe on the shelf where you can go there, buy one, or even have them send you one. Go to Rhode Island Comic Con and have a certain guy over here, Jack Purcell, signing for you at his table. So yeah, get a hold of Eric and the guys at Alternate Universe LLC in New Haven in Milford, Connecticut today. Contact them through Facebook or Instagram and get some of those lovely, lovely comic books. It is now time for Old School Trivia. Lucas, you're the guest. You go first. You get the first crack at this wonderful, wonderful question. And after that, our audience members, you guys get to. No Googling. You know the rules. Jack, Lucas, are you ready?
I'm ready. Ready to lose.
This week's question is, Jimmy Hart traded King Kong Bundy to Bobby Heenan for who? Was it the Hart Foundation, the Rougeau brothers, the Honky Tonk Man, Adrian Adonis, or the Missing Link? Once again, the question, Jimmy Hart traded King Kong Bundy to Bobby Heenan for who? Was it the Hart Foundation, the Rougeau brothers, the Honky Tonk Man, Adrian Adonis, or the Missing Link?
I mean, oh God, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and so you're saying it was Jimmy Hart traded King Kong, but okay, the Honky Tonk Man? No, fuck it, I'm probably gonna get this wrong. Honky Tonk Man.
You are wrong. Lucas is wrong.
I think I might have this one. I might have this one. And I love alliteration. So it's adorable Adrian Adonis.
Okay, guess what? You and Eric Hunting are both half right because this was a trick question. He traded King Kong Bundy for both the Missing Link and Adrian Adonis.
He
He
did?
traded King Kong Bundy. It was a double trade. It was the biggest wrestling scandal in 1982, where he traded King Kong Bundy
I
to
find
Bobby the
that
Brain Heenan.
that's hard to believe. I find that statement hard to believe. That was the biggest wrestling scandal in '82.
I know, really.
There's got to have been something. I feel like
So anyway, he traded King Kong Bundy for the missing link and adorable Adrian Adonis. So I give Jack a half point this week, and I give Eric a half point this week
All right,
for
Eric.
a half answer. And you guys split nothing.
We split nothing, Jack.
Yes, you split absolutely nothing. And I'm surprised that Heather or Joe Mack did not come in and answer that question this week.
Right. I mean, come on, guys. What's going on? All these
I
quiet
know.
people.
Once again, I want to thank Alternate Universe LLC. I had a brain fart there for a minute for bringing us this week's wrestling trivia. For bringing it to Jack in the Faces and Heels podcast. Make sure you contact them. Remember, tomorrow, new comic book day. Get that Wolverine vs. Predator book.
Oh, it's
I
so
hear
good. It's so
fantastic.
good. That's so good. Lucas, do you buy any comics currently? Do you read any comic books?
So I'm a huge fan. So my two favorite comic book characters are the Punisher and Spider-Man. I haven't bought any new comics recently, but I love Garth Ennis's run of the Punisher comics. I also love The Boys, and then I bought Preacher.
No, fantastic.
I'm really about to just get up and look in my closet and remember what the other one. It's just like a smattering of different comic books. I try to buy when I can, meaning when I don't have to pay for adult things like bills and car insurance and.
Right. With you there.
Fun. And
Transform.
Sorry, got depressing there for a second.
Snapped right out of it. You're with us.
It happens. Yeah.
Transformers #1. I strongly recommend. Just saying.
All right.
Transformers #1. All right.
You didn't read it, Lewis?
No, I haven't been buying new books. I'm just restoring my collection of a lot of the back issues, so I've just been buying back issues.
He's been too busy trying to find the right Macho Man background for tonight.
He's pretty successful. Like this guy, if there's one thing he does, Rhode Island Comic-Con is going to be getting a class act showing up, and if they're a Macho Man fan, let me tell you.
Yeah, quite a few. Heather, she had a sneak peek of one of the things that the Angry Geeks will be wearing back at Terracon. So, yeah, Rhode Island Comic-Con, get ready.
Well, speaking of things people are wearing, so Lucas, here's a question I wondered, especially seems appropriate around Halloween, because you were talking about designing your own gear, and I love that Ramon shirt, by the way. We're gonna have to talk about that later. But I wonder, is there a reason why you stick with a motif of orange, black, and white?
Yes. So, my alma mater, my school district, Pennsbury, the high school I went to, our colors are orange, black, and white. That being said, also, it's just a nice color combination, but it works. And also, like, I guess you could also say it's Flyers colors. Like, I don't really pay it. Like, I root for a lot of sports teams in spirit. When you're from the Philadelphia area, like, I'm about 30 minutes outside of Philadelphia. Even if you're not a sports fan, you're a sports fan. You know, like, if you got, for those, I said this also off the air. Anyone that's watching this, if you hear yelling in the background, it's my family is watching the Phillies game.
Excuse me 1 second, Michael J. Pelletier. Yes, Michael. The answer was a trick question. It was the missing link and Adrian Adonis.
I feel like you set me up for failure on that one, dude. Like, come on. A trick question? Fuck you. I say that with peace and love, but also, Jesus, dude.
Peace and love. Peace and love. That was
so
fantastic.
unprofessional with me.
No, stop. There's no need to be professional. You're
No, fair enough. You look very tired dealing with Lewis. I understand, Jack. I get it.
Thank you. I mean, this gray hair doesn't come from nowhere. They're named Lewis, number 5, 7, 12, 35.
Wow, Mr. Sarcasm.
So, Lewis, you haven't asked your big question.
I hope you forget to charge that one day, and then when you're looking for the right job, it just doesn't. You're just tapping on glass.
And any crying or any excuses is just sour grapes.
You dumb.
Lewis, ask your big question.
Nope, I refuse to.
Okay, cool, awesome, great, anything.
And
anyway,
I
moving
think
on.
that the spotlight should go on top of me. Yeah.
So, I'm going to ask a question. I have to ask a question.
All right, now you're going to interrupt. Okay, go ahead.
Michael says, dang it, Lewis. So, Lucas, all kidding aside, what was it like the first time that you walked out from behind Gorilla and you saw someone in the crowd holding up a sign with your name on it? What did that sign say, if you could remember, and how did that make you feel, especially after everything you've been through and what made you want to become a wrestler? How did it feel that very first time you walked out and saw someone holding that sign with your name, whether it be positive, whether it be negative, but you saw someone out there, not excluding family members, but someone that you don't know holding that sign for you? How did that make you feel?
It felt well. So that night was a special moment in itself, because like the first time I ever saw somebody with a sign that I remember, like maybe there was another time, but the one that sticks out to me the most was the first time I ever main evented a show at the Monster Factory. I was wrestling Bobby Buffet for the heavyweight championship, and somebody made a sign in the crowd. Actually, I have it with me at home.
Nice.
Huh.
That was really cool. I mean, it's one of those. It's the first of you hope many. It was it was the cherry on top of a very special night as it was, because when they announced, I found out that I was main eventing when Danny announced it. So I was like, the first thing in my head was, who fucked up? Like, what did somebody back out? Did somebody back out that they were like what? Why me? And it was like, no, we did this on purpose. And I'm like, wait, why? No, but like, sir, Danny, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean you did it on purpose? Right? Joking for the most part. I did initially think somebody backed out or something. Put him with Twitch. I don't know. He's been doing this long enough.
That's awesome.
No, it was a very special moment. And that sign was just really, really cool. Actually, the thing that sticks out to me more is like because I do this as like my so like L for Lucas, and also for what usually I hold is that L. Spent a lot of my career staring up at the lights. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but when I did this, the first time I noticed that like there were a few kids that were doing it too. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, like, I would never want to get in the ring with you, make no mistake. But I remember watching one of the matches, and I was actually you against Bobby Buffet, but I think it was for the Supersonic title. I think it was.
No, it was a number one contender. It was a non-title thing. It was number one.
Oh, yeah. No, sorry, you're right. You're exactly right. And I just remember.
Actually, honestly, I love that match a lot more. Like the main event was special, but that match is. I don't know. That was a really. Probably because like there was a lot of shit that was going on, personally. So like, also that it was when I had that belt, it just I just felt like I needed to turn it up even more in terms of like the matches I was having. So that meant a lot that like I got to have that match.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like you were going full send on it, because I just remember thinking like, it's not to say I would ever want to get in the ring with you or any pro wrestler, but I remember you doing a rolling forearm and hit him so hard. I just thought, oh my God, like it just like it was, you could just feel the impact watching it. And just some of the shots you guys were exchanging really felt like you were taking it all the way. And it's interesting that you say that, because I didn't really, of course, know the behind the scenes of what you were going through at the time. That match was really hard hitting.
That was so another one of my favorite matches from that run was against Tough Timmy Hughes, because again, so like that month of September of last year was just it just started. It was like it snowballed all the way into October, and by the time it was just it went from one inconvenience to another. Like something happened every week. There was something that was like wasn't the end of the world, but it was enough to kind of fuck up the rest of your week kind of deal. And I had gotten let go from my shoot job. I got my job back, thank God. But at the time, I was just like, I go up to Hughes, comes up to me. I'm like, we have 15 minutes, and part of me, I go to Hughes and I go, hey man, I know what you like to do is different than like the style that I like to wrestle, but like I really need to have like I need to have a barn burner tonight, man. Like I'm going through it a little bit. And he's like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. Because he was also, I don't want to divulge him. He was also going through it a little bit too. So like we both kind of like we were kind of just working through some shit together, and that was another one of my favorite matches I had. Like that whole run of matches when I was Supersonic champion was like that. I just had so much fun.
You could tell. I mean, as a fan, I could feel it watching it.
Because I think a lot of it also was like, for me, there's this anxiety of like, when you're, the cool thing about being a champion is that you're guaranteed a spot on the card. Not to say that I'm not guaranteed a spot on the card, but it's more of like, most of the time, you don't have to worry about, it's like part of the things that you usually worry about is like, who am I wrestling? How much time are we going to have? Who's up? Like who's winning the match? A lot of the times that's what you're already you're trying to think of like, okay, well, if it's like this, we can do it this way. Half of that shit's already taken care of, So it was just, I think it was a lot more of like, and also I think I really started to like feel a lot more comfortable. Yeah, like it just, I felt a lot more in my element. I felt fulfilling.
Yeah, awesome. Do you how do you feel about like traveling to shows? I mean, I know you've talked about wrestling a lot in PA, but is it one of those things like you dread having to take like a 5-6 hour drive, or is that something that you find you can just crank some music and enjoy?
I hate making those drives by myself, but if I can load up a car full of people and let's hit the road and we'll shoot the shit, I love it, man. It's like having your own little podcast in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I haven't had the chance to do a 6-hour car ride in a while. So, like I said, hi, please,
right?
Any promoters out there?
Yeah, selfishly, help me. I don't want to have to drive all the way to PA myself. I want you to come out here in Connecticut and tear it up in Massachusetts. Do you have any promotions in the Northeast that you keep an eye on? Like, I don't know how much time you have to dedicate to watching wrestling, because obviously you're training, but like, do you watch IWTV or like, do you watch?
Course.
Yeah.
I've been on IWTV. I mean, obviously the ones that come to mind up in your area are like, Limitless, Chaotic, Beyond obviously is like the big one. Like, hey, Drew, if you're watching, please.
Yeah, Wrestling Open.
I'm very good. Please. I'm begging you. No. Blood, Sweat, and Tears, I think, is another one that's up in that area.
Yes.
Good friends of ours, business partners. Yep.
Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. I worked for them once. It was a taco festival in Connecticut, which is at the time was a weird sentence for me. I'm like, that seems a little just don't expect it there. But
I like wrestling and tacos.
but in Connecticut it was like I just didn't.
Well, I want to know next time that's happening, Lewis. We all need to be there.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Jack, unfortunately, the studio, we are out of time. So, Lucas, please tell everyone where they can find you online, find your matches, stop by, get some of your merch, and just say hi.
So, you can follow me on Instagram at Lucas Twitch Disangro. You can follow me on Twitter or X if you want to be a jerk about it. You can follow me at Lucas Twitch 318 because apparently you can't have there's a limit on characters for usernames now, which is stupid. YouTube is Lucas Twitch Disangro. Just look up Lucas Twitch Disangro, Monster Factory Pro Wrestling. We stream. We have a show streaming this Saturday, October 21st. You can catch it live on YouTube if you're not in the area, 4 p.m. bell time.
Nice.
And prowrestlingtees.com/MrFantastic, where you can get one of these great shirts along with 2 other designs, and hopefully, if we can start beefing up those sales a little bit, we can get another one cranked out there. And yeah, just be a pal.
Yeah.
Thanks. Please.
Jack, tell everyone where they can find you in the coming weeks and where they can get some awesome artwork for the holidays.
Definitely. Well, I know where I'm going to be Saturday afternoon at 4 now, so thank you for that. I am also going to be doing a rare Comic Con appearance this year at Rhode Island Comic Con. That's coming up on November 3 through 5. So I will be there for the first time, I think, in 5 or 6 years. That's going to be fun. I'll be there with this guy over here. Jack Purcell Inc. INK is Instagram and Facebook. So if you're looking to get on the pre-show commission list, it gives me time to get it done, spend some extra time in the studio back here drawing it, and I can deliver it to you at the show. So Jack Purcell Inc. INK, get on that pre-show commission list. And if you're going to be at the Pro Wrestling Grind show on the 27th, which is a Friday, I'm going to be debuting 2 or 3 new cards. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but some new pro wrestling artwork debuting at Pro Wrestling Grind. And then we got this guy.
Hey, you can find me every Monday night streaming live on the Angry Geek Show. You're going to find me at Rhode Island Comic Con. Of course, all the ARE events, I'm going to be there. Panel announcements coming soon, and the live Angry Geek Show will be announced coming soon, so stay tuned. We already got guests lined up. We got the prize packs coming. And Saturdays, 10 a.m., me and another special co-host building a show. Just stay tuned. Gorilla Shoot. We're just going to show up and we're going to rock the house as the road to Rhode Island Comic Con continues. We want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Lucas. And we want to thank you. Make sure you hit that sign. You have that share button. Click it. Click it. Okay? Share this. And if you can't watch it, go to wherever your favorite podcasts are found. Click it and listen. We are the Faces and Heels podcast from the Angry Geek Show Network, and we'll see you guys
Wednesday next week. Wednesday next week. Wednesday
next week.
Bobby Buffet.
Bobby Buffet. We're going to be eating at the Chinese place. Stay safe. Stay classy. Rhode Island. We're coming for you, baby. That's right.
You have been watching The Angry Geek Show on Pod TV. Visit our website today. And for guest bookings, email us at theangrygeekshow@gmail.com today.